Hi everybody! If you're one of those guys that walk around thinking that your favorite lure just doesn't come in the right color, or you're like me that just love being creative with my lures, well then you're in luck here in 2022. Because this year Diver has added this Please Paint Me version of the Lazy Jerk to the product range. And I'd just like to show you how you can use this to make your own super nice lures. Okay? So let's just start out by looking at what's actually in the box. First of all, of course, there is the Lazy Jerk itself all ready to be painted. There is a little bag containing two eyes which match the special eye sockets of the Lazy Jerk. And there's also a little bag with two quality hooks and split rings, so you can mount them up on your lure after you're done. Well, let's just go ahead and see what else you need to get started painting. No matter if you're painting with brush, rattle can or airbrush, it's always nice to have a holder to hold the lure during the process. This will prevent me from having to touch the lure and maybe ruin my paint job if the paint isn't completely dry. I've made these homemade lure holders which I've mounted up some lures in here, but you can also use something like this, which is a tool called a third hand, which is actually used for soldering, but it works perfectly for this purpose as well. Okay? I'm just about ready to start painting, but I'll just show you a few other preparations I've made. I also made some stencils, especially when you're painting with airbrush. It's nice to have some stencils to spray through, and you can make crazy patterns with those, which is very nice to use. As you can see here, I've made one with a tiger stripe pattern. I have one with a scarred pattern. I have a perch-like pattern here, and I have some dotted pattern here, which also looks nice. And you can combine them to get special effects as well. Okay? Often when you paint lures, you want to have some sort of scaly look on the lure, and to do that you can use some fabric mesh like this, which you wrap around the lure and spray through. This will give you a nice scale-like look on the lure. I have found this metal net which I can bend and shape, and so it matches the lure exactly, and this made my process a little bit easier, but it'll give me the same scaly look as the other one, just a little bit different, but the same kind of thing. Okay? Well, I think we're just about ready, so I'll just rig up my paint booth here, and then we'll start painting. The first thing you have to do is to prime the lure. You do that to get a nice solid color to paint on. Also, it will prevent the inner parts of the lures from showing through. And by having a nice solid color, the colors you paint on it afterwards will be easier to control. Also, the primer generally sticks better to the body of the lure, giving you a better and more durable result in the end. Okay, you can paint, you can prime generally in any solid color, I guess. I generally paint white because in many colors that will give you a better surface, but for some colors black may be a better option, and you might find a reason to use any other, but generally white or black is a good option. So, well, let's just go ahead and prime these lures. When you paint lures, it's often a good idea to plan your paint job a little bit ahead, because things need to be done in the right order. For these two lures, I've planned to make a classic fire tiger pattern with a little bit of a twist. Okay, so I need to have the usual colors, the yellow fluorescent in the middle, the red fluorescent on the belly, and the green fluorescent in the back. Apart from that, as a little twist, I will make a very light scaly pattern with the gold along the sides, and I will make some tiger stripes using the black, which I will just make pop a little bit out by giving a little bit of white underneath. Okay, so let's just see how it turns out. I'll just rig up the first color, and then I'll just leave you a few clips along the way to see how the pattern progresses. Well, I'm done painting the lures now, and I must say that it turned out super nice. Maybe even nicer than I anticipated. Now I have to wait a few days for the paint to set properly before I can coat them, because they need some coat to be able to withstand the bites from the pikes. There's many coats you can use. You can use a rattle can varnish to do that. You can use some you add on with a brush, but there's no doubt that the best result and the most durable result is epoxy. And that's what I'm going to use on these. I won't leave much for that process, but I'll show you the result in the end, okay? The jerks have now had 2 layers of epoxy and a few days to harden, so now they're actually ready to mount up with some hooks and go ahead fish with. As you can see, beside the fire tiger here, I also managed to squeeze in some other patterns. Here is a sander-like pattern with bite marks in it, one I call the gutted sander. There is a more realistic perch-like pattern like this one, and also down here a bream which has been gutted, as I know that many of the huge pikes actually feed on bream. Okay, I hope you like this little movie on how you can utilize the Please Paint Me jerks from Diver, and well, just go ahead and have fun with it, and tight lines everyone.